Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Cool Colas here, bringing you the hustler's perspective. As you can see today, I'm wearing my Detroit Lions shirt, and I gotta just let you know a couple things here. Number one, I am not by any means a Detroit Lions fan. Number two, I'm not even a football fan. Number three, I'm not even a sports fan, really. So, to be honest, the only thing that I really watch is like WWE, which is not even real, but I like it because it's entertaining, and I used to watch it, when I was a little kid, and I kind of just grew into liking it as an adult. It's entertaining. My girlfriend and I watch it all the time together and talk about it and talk about all the characters and storylines and everything. And then every now and again I watch college wrestling. I haven't in a while, but I used to watch it because I used to play it in high school. Only other sport I played in high school was football, but that was a year, and I didn't really enjoy it. So going back, I was an athletic person, definitely an athletic person growing up, but at least in my high school years, but I definitely don't watch it. I don't really find joy in watching it or anything like that. But anyways, let's hop into the topic. So today I'm going to be talking to you all about the premise of why having a lot of money means nothing. The first thing I want to decipher to you guys is the difference between what I would define as a rich person and what I would define as a wealthy person. A rich person is somebody with just a lot of money. Somebody who spends their money on extravagant things, extravagant clothing, tons of cars, tons of jewelry, big houses. They're all about the flash, and you can see it. You can visibly see that this is a rich person because they have so much money. The problem with it is they are rich right now. Meaning, chances are, if they don't know what to do with that money, then they're not going to be rich for very long, because being rich, it can be gone like that, and you just won't even know it, especially if you don't know what to do with your money. A wealthy person always either knows what to do with their money, or they try to figure out a way to make their money work for them. Now, they have money, but they don't show it to you. They're wearing plain clothes. They're probably wearing a Detroit Lions shirt like I am right now. But at the end of the day, they have a lot of money, but they're not flaunting it. They're looking to plan, and they're looking to execute, and then you'll see the results later. So you won't see it by, oh, I visually see this person has a big house, a mansion-like house, or a lot of cars and stuff like that. You see it by some of their actions, some of the businesses that they uptake, or what they invested in, or the investing advice that they can give to people who are looking to do the same things. That is the difference between a rich and a wealthy person. A rich person is all about the flash. A wealthy person is all about the growth. It's what it comes down to. So let's get into some of the reasons and some of the kind of like premises and the points that I want to touch on as to why money and having a lot of it does not matter. So the first thing I want to kind of get into a little bit here is knowing what to do with your money is probably and singly the biggest issue with having a lot of money. Most of the time, the issue is not about acquiring it or learning ways to acquire it, but is what you are doing with the money. A lot of times, there are tons of people who they get a lot of money and then they just blow it. And they blow it because they just don't know what they're doing. And here's the first issue as to why that goes on. School is not teaching you how to handle your money. It's not teaching you about taxes. It's not teaching you about side hustles. It's not teaching you about being a business owner. It's not teaching you about being an entrepreneur in any way. And it's not teaching you about the things that are going to attract and build wealth in the long run. It doesn't teach you those things. And because of that, there are a ton of misinformed students or people who become post-students, and they don't know what to do with their money, especially like I said, like young folks, like the millennials, as older people like to call them, like myself. There's a ton of them who just don't get money because there's nobody there to teach them that. There's nobody there teaching you financial responsibility. And as quiet as it's kept, a lot of your parents, they don't really know much about financial responsibility. They know about working a job, going to work, and then making the money that they're making, getting a house, and building a foundation. But a lot of them are not talking about building wealth. A lot of parents are not talking about that. They're telling you to go to school, get your education, and get a good job and do the same thing that they're doing. And the bottom line is, we live in a different world. And we live in a different world where a lot of us need to start understanding that, start having something for our own, and start taking control of our financial future. And the problem is that what I feel is happening is there's too much of an emphasis on material items and things that don't matter. Like let's kind of take a couple steps here in the direction of why um, like some financial literacy is not known by parents and it's not known by the people who are younger. So we focus too much on material items, and we focus too much on material items because we have been shown this image in the media by our parents, by others in general, by like the people that we associate ourselves with, so our peers, of what is glamorous and all these like possessions that mean that you're doing something big. You know, there's people buying all types of cool shoes, and you see people walking around with shoes. You see people walking around or driving like nice cars and stuff like that. Like, and this is me not just talking about young people, because I mean I really don't know a lot of young people driving like these crazy nice cars. I mean, unless you got some like pretty well off parents who just gave it to you. But I mean, I'm talking about parents as well too, like a nice car and having that presentation to everybody so they can say, "Ooh, look at that car. Oh, that person, they got a nice car right there." No, I mean, to be honest, those things have no value. Like, I think that a car is a liability. I think that clothes, shoes, all that stuff is a liability. The only reason why clothes is somewhat of a necessity is because, I mean, unless you're going to like a nudist colony, I mean, you're kind of like indecently exposing yourself if you don't have clothes to wear. But when I say clothes, I mean the idea of these glamorous, flashy brands that people buy to just show everybody that, hey, I got the new so and so. Look at me, I got the new. Just give you an example, a new Gucci belt or whatever it is. Like, I got Versace. Look at my bag, and if you're a female, of course, and then like just these things. You got these expensive shoes. You got all this like stuff that shows that you have good taste, and everybody's like ooh and ah, oh that's nice. To me, all that stuff, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't add wealth. It doesn't add value. When you don't want to look back in your life and think, man, all I did was spend money on clothes and material stuff that didn't even matter. You don't want to look back on your life and then say that. You really don't. You when you buy cars, you don't want to look back on your life and realize, hey, I was driving a nice car. Everybody saw it. Everybody was impressed by it. But what did it give me besides a headache, having to always fix something or take it in or spend money on it or put gas in it? Like, really, the only reason why you have a car, and I guess some people are different because they may travel and things like that, but is because you're trying to get to and from your job if you're not taking like some type of public transportation. A lot of times I think that in bigger cities that's more common to not necessarily have a vehicle. So if you're in like Chicago or New York or something like that, you have a transit system that can kind of get you around. In Grand Rapids, Michigan, and even Detroit, Michigan, the transit system is nothing. It's nothing. It's abysmal and cannot get you around. You'll pretty much need a car if you're going back and forth, unless you want to take like the city bus. And my point is not to get into cars too much, but just the idea that they are liabilities. Cars are liabilities, and I'll even take a step further. This big old foundation that your parents wanted you to establish with a house, that is a liability. Your house, and I will say this even louder so you can hear me, your house is a liability. It's a liability. The only way a house can even remotely be somewhat of an asset is if you are doing real estate, or if you have rental property that you are renting out to other people so that you are making money off of it while you sleep. Those are the only ways that I can personally think of. So basically, if you're doing real estate or flipping or whatever you're doing with your house, or you're like renting it out, or you're doing like an Airbnb, that type of thing. If you don't know what an Airbnb is, it's when you can basically have your house up so that you can, or house or apartment or whatever it is, for someone to stay there for a weekend or for a day or whatever it is they're trying to stay, and then you have a rate that you like give them for it, and there's stipulations on the things that they have to do, and then a thing that they would sign and all that. So Airbnb basically allows that person to make money from someone spending time in their place while they're not there. So that's kind of like that. My point is that other than using it in those ways, which at that point you're using it as a resource, it is a total liability. Mortgage is crazy. The taxes on a mortgage are through the roof. So I mean, like, that stuff is, again, about presentation. Someone comes in there like, ooh, you got a nice home. But other than that, it's not an asset. And do not believe it's an asset. I don't care what your parents tell you. I don't care what your granny tells you. I don't care what your neighbor down the street tells you. I don't care what that old fool who you see who tries to talk down to you because they think you don't know anything and you really do. I don't care what he tells you. It is a liability. That's the bottom line. Like, you need to start focusing on things that are actually assets. And because we're not taught things like that, we don't know what an asset is. And I'll get into another video where I talk about what an asset actually is. But, you know, bottom line is, like, we're too focused on material things in our presentation and keeping up with the Joneses. That's I think the term that everybody says, keeping up with the Joneses. And none of that's important. It's just not. And as a hustler, it's really not important. And I think that the reason why money doesn't, a lot of money doesn't matter is because I could have a lot of money and I can spend it on these cars. I could spend it on this clothes. I could spend it on a big house and then, like, do all this other crazy stuff with my money, which, let's be honest, a lot of you guys definitely do. And then you don't have anything. You just don't have anything. And that's kind of what it just comes down to, is being able to know what to do with your money. And you're not taught that. So I think the biggest issue is that when it comes down to it, you are not being taught some of that stuff on purpose. Well, not some of it, all of it. In school, you're not being taught all of that stuff on purpose. The government and the education system and all that, they don't want a bunch of really smart human beings who can go and mess with the system that they have in place and say, oh, well, you know, I don't want to just get a job and then not know anything about my money, and then you just take my money, and I don't know about all these write-offs I can do. I don't know about starting a business. I don't know this. I don't know that. They do not want people to be informed on those things. They want to make money and create a business off of the people who are uninformed, who are not educated, or who are miseducated. Most of the time, especially with college graduates, especially with people who went to school in some capacity, they are miseducated. Miseducated meaning, I was in school, I was learning about trigonometry. I learned what a parallelogram was. I learned how to do, and I'm using a lot of these examples because I was a chemical engineering major, so I know a lot of mathematical and science terms. I had to learn the derivative of cosecant, or I had to learn what the system was for putting O2 and then nitrogen into a system and how much of it comes out. Like, that's the type of stuff that they're teaching you in school. They're teaching you that stuff. And really, when it comes down to it, a lot of it is fluff, because I even had a teacher personally who even admitted that you only even use 10% of the information that you have in that you get while you're in school into your actual job. So really, to be honest, it's almost kind of like you're taught and trained and conditioned to believe that you will be a grunt. And for a more harsh word, I'll say a slave. Slave is probably more true, but we'll say a grunt, and which probably doesn't sound good either, but that's really what you're taught to be. You're taught to be this robot who obeys, who does what they're supposed to do. They go home, they go to work, still feel unfulfilled, still feel tired, and and then take that battery that they have in the back of in their back, and then like put it on a little charger, and then put it back in their back the next day and get going back to their grunt work. That's what they want you to do. They don't want you to know what to do with your money. They don't want you to become like them and become rich. They want to make money off of you. You are their business. They make money off of you. Just like I make money off of my job, just like they are like a regular person, my mom, whoever, they make money off of their job. Their thing that they make money off of is you. And everybody else who is uninformed or miseducated or uneducated because the education system decided that they didn't want to tell you whatever they didn't want to tell you for because of the fact they want to make money off of you. And because of that, school has become a huge business that has taken away from the idea of what an education system truly is. And it's frustrating to even say that because I'm saying this from the perspective of somebody who loves to learn, who loves to become educated, who loves to try to acquire knowledge of new things. But really, the education system is not trying to teach you how to on what you should do with your money, and it's not trying to teach you how to be independent. And when you have a lot of money, it's really easy to blow it because you know it's there. That's just what it is. Now let's talk a bit about like being an employee and having a lot of money. So the first thing I think a lot of people are misinformed on with that is I think that a lot of people believe that they're making a certain amount of money and they're not. Like, you know, for example, I just kind of want to just throw this in your ear because I know a lot of you all kind of don't know this, but let's say that you're making, for example, I'm sorry, this little computer update came up here. So let's say that you're making like 20K a year. I mean, that's like nothing, but I'm just saying, let's say you're making that. Let's say you're making 20K a year. So chances are, like, after taxes, if you have benefits, if you have 401K, just giving you kind of like a ballpark estimate, you can pretty much say that you'll probably get back maybe 76% of whatever they tell you from the gate that you're making money-wise. So if, again, you're making 20K a year, you're not really making 20K a year because think about it. And I'm going to do a little math with you guys, so just bear with me on this. Half of 20,000 is 10,000, right? So, and if you have 100% of 20K, you have 20K. If you have 50% of 20K, you have 10K. So if it's 76%, that's roughly pretty close to 75%, most of you all would say. So obviously 75% is somewhere, 76% is somewhere in between 50 and 100%, right in the middle. So you're probably making about what, 15K, or 15,500 if you're making 76%. So that's what you are really making, but you think you're making 20K. That's the first thing you got to realize. You know the taxes are coming out, but you don't really know how the math is going and how it's going to work out with all your bills and your expenses. The second thing that you need to realize too is jobs can go like that. Like I said earlier, they can go quick. So, you know, if you have a job, especially if your job is a non-union, especially, like you're on a really short lifeline there. Like the security is definitely not there, and that means of, hey, I got this thing that's gonna keep me where I'm gonna have this job, and you know, it's gonna be able to help me like raise my family and do things I need to do and feed myself and eat and whatever. Like the thing about it is that like it's not secure. And if you're earning a lot of money, it can go quickly if that's your only lifeline. And that's why it means nothing, because today you could be you know, going out with your friends and spend all this money doing all this stuff, and then, you know, going and eating lobster dinners and all this other stuff, and then tomorrow you could be trying to, I don't know, almost kicked out of, just giving you an example, if you're like live in an apartment, almost kicked out of your apartment, can't pay your rent, can't pay your car note, you can't pay any of your electricity bills, you can't pay your phone bill. You're pretty much like cut, you know, at the waist. Like it's just, well, shoot, you're cut at the head at that point. So I guess I'm saying that to say that you can have a lot of money at that point, but it won't mean anything if they just like cut it off, which is why I talk about things like the hustler's perspective and the hustler's jackpot, because they teach you how to make money outside of actually having your job. But and that's why a lot of having a lot of money doesn't mean anything, because it can go quickly. It can go. It's definitely not forever. Now let's talk about the mentalities that people have in general. So again, a lot of people do not know what to do with their tax money. So if you actually are an employee and, you know, you have like accrued a certain amount of money over time, and you had taxes taken out of that money that you accrued over time, and you're getting it back at, you know, February or March or whenever it is that you know, we get back taxes and stuff like that. And you're saying, oh, I got like $3,000. Just give you an example. Some of y'all may get more, some of y'all may not get anything, some of y'all may owe. Let's just say you got $3,000. A lot of you are sitting there thinking, I'm gonna take an expensive vacation, or I'm gonna go pay for a car, or I'm gonna go and I'm gonna blow it on something silly. Why can't you take that money and if you want to take something, you want to reward yourself, you know, my thing is take a little bit and reward yourself by investing it into something so that it later can grow and you can reward yourself down the line because you just made your money make money. Why is that so hard to take that money and do something productive with it? Now, mind you, I'm not saying people don't deserve vacations, but why not create a life for yourself where every day is like a vacation? Why can't we as people do that? That's why I say having that much money does not matter, because people can just blow that. People can just blow that in silly ways. You think it's $3,000, but it could be going like that. And like it could be blown on really silly things. Invest in yourself, people. Like, do that. And invest in yourself doesn't mean invest in the stock market necessarily. It can mean that, but I mean, invest in your talents, invest in your goals. Like save up for a certain occasion where maybe you want to start a business, or maybe you want to like go into real estate or something. Like, do something productive with your money that's going to help your money make money. It's a simple concept, guys. It's simple. And again, I don't mean to sound like brash, but I'm getting like really into it because I want you guys to really understand how important it is to invest in yourself, because at the end of the day, nobody even tries to help you. Nobody even tries to tell you how important it is to invest in yourself. They just tell you to pay bills and live in the real world. But what if I told you that you are the person who can create your own reality? Realism is in the eyes of the person who experiences their idea of realism. Realism isn't this idea of what everybody else around you tells you. That's just what it is. So with that being said, make a realistic decision to invest in yourself and the things that you care about and the things that you're passionate about. That's just what you should do. Now, the other problem is that people do not know how to budget. People don't know the idea of like ratios. People don't know the idea of like that money and having money is most important by not how much you have, but how much you can keep. It's all about how much you can keep. And the reason why is because it a lot of times like it tells you how you're doing as far as like, you know, if you have enough finances to kind of sustain yourself, and then if you have enough finances to continue to build and continue to do the things that you want to do. And I heard this like really interesting quote from rapper Jay-Z. I don't know if any of you all who are watching this actually like listen to rap or anything like that, but he made a statement and he said like, he talked about affording things. If you can't buy something twice, then you can't afford it. And that statement couldn't be more true. And the way that you could that you know that it couldn't be more true is because you know, you're sitting there scrambling, you're sitting there thinking like, you know, whenever you go to make a purchase, you go to do something, you're like, oh, I will only have $5 left after this or that. Like, if it comes down to that, then it's not your time to start doing this. It's not your time to start buying stuff that you know that you can't afford. You know you're going to be in a short lifeline afterwards. That's why it's important to invest, create, and build now, and then play later. If that's what you want to do, is play later. But please, by all means, invest now, people. So going back though, to the whole budget talk and the whole ratios talk. I mean, the thing about it is that like, let's say you have like, you know, you get $6,000 a month. If you have $5,950 in spending expenses a month, you're pretty much broke. Well, you could be in worse shape because you do have $50, but you got $50 to show for it. That's what I'm saying though. Like, that doesn't, just because you say, hey, you tell somebody, hey, I make $6,000 a month or whatever, and then like you're spending $5,950, you're broke. You're no better than the guy who makes 900 a month and is spending 850. You're no better than them. You ain't no better than them. Now, mind you, like you'll be able to afford certain things, but I would challenge you with this. I would challenge you that you should start living a minimally impacted expense lifestyle. What I mean by that is your expenses should be low in number starting out, and when you're trying to get a good grip on yourself and you're trying to get your stuff together financially. So if you can, with like rent, if you're like a student or a post student or whatever it is, or even if you're an older person and you have an apartment or whatever it is, get a roommate if you need to, or or if you have like a significant other, I would say like move in with them. You guys move in together and you guys try to make it work, split the bill and stuff like that. Like I know rent is getting expensive in a lot of places, and it's expensive in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I don't know how, because they don't pay anybody anything and the wages here are super low. So I mean, like they want to get all expensive and high risen like Chicago or whatever, but it doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even equate the same way. Anyway, if let's say that you live in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and then you have an apartment, it's $1,000. If you and another person are in there together, you're only paying $500. And if you guys are like splitting it and even, so that's what I mean by like you mitigate your expenses. That's another thing. Like with your cell phone, get a cheap cell phone plan if you need to have a cell phone, which a lot of people do. So I've seen people who like don't care and they try not to. They don't even like talk on the cell phone. They'll just say, "Hey, I'll message you on Facebook or whatever." Like get a cheap cell phone plan and go with that. Don't get any plan that's gonna just be too much on you. Another thing too is like if you have a car, try to like get something that's cheap. Try to work something out where like you're not spending too much on that. And if you have a car note, like make sure you can try to get it down as much as possible, like especially like if you're going into like a dealership, which again, like I wouldn't even suggest like doing that if it's going to be like a new car or whatever. I would suggest like trying to get like a good like used one if you can, and trying to get as low as possible. Like my point is that you may not even want to do that. My point is that you want to keep your expenses super low, as low as you can possibly get them, because these people will charge you and they'll add tax to what they're charging you. So you want to be very careful about, just what you're spending your money on. And then like don't spend it on silly stuff. Don't go to like I know a lot of people don't go to Target because they feel like it's expensive, but don't go to Walmart and then like, hey, you're gonna get like one thing and you say, hey, instead I'm gonna get like 20 things because I'm at Walmart and I saw these new fruit roll-ups, or like this like little snack right here looks good, or I see like a popcorn is on sale. Like don't do stuff like that. Don't spend your money on stupid stuff. Don't spend your money on clothes that at some point they're just not going to matter. They're just going to collect dust, or they're going to get old and stuff like that, and you're just going to want to sell them later anyway. Don't spend your money on and for younger people, I think this is more of an issue. Don't go out to a bar and then buy drinks and stuff like that, and just do things that you don't need. Like you just know when you don't need something. And I would encourage you to try to do that as much as possible. Just stop spending your money on things that just do not matter, because at the end of the day, they're going to eat you up. They're going to eat up your finances. Like that $10 that you may have spent on drinks at the bar, you could put it into a fund so that you can maybe get some advertisement for your business, or maybe like you can put it towards getting some equipment for your business, or maybe you can put it towards hey, it's like an investment. Like you may have some money already set aside and you're adding it to your collection. You just want to invest in yourself as much as possible. And a lot of people who are my age are not trying to do stuff like that, and they're not because they were never taught it. So I think it's all about ratios. It's all about how much you keep. You have to understand net worth, which I think is a whole nother ballpark. That's just understanding how much you are worth, with the combination of your debts and then like your streams of income. And that's a whole nother topic for another day, so I won't get too deep into that. But it's kind of similar to some of the stuff that I talked about though, but it's all about like how much you are making, including like your debts and things like that, which if you're like me and or you're like a younger person, a lot of you all probably have a whole lot of school debt. A whole lot of school debt and not a lot of real knowledge. I mean, it's the truth, you know? So, anyways, going forward, the last thing I want to cover here is I made a status on Facebook sometime, let's see here. I think the status I made was sometime in April, like late April. And the status was pertaining to this topic that we have at hand here. And I'll read to you what I pretty much said, and then I want to cover some things because I noticed that I had a few comments from people, and if these people are watching this, I don't want you all to take this as I'm ridiculing you or I'm trying to make fun of you or I'm trying to like just say something negative about you. But I do, however, want to make a comment based off of the things that, you know, were being said. And I want to kind of like elaborate on what I was trying to get at with my statement, and then show you why what I'm saying has not necessarily been disproven. So my statement was, your salary makes no difference. It's all about how much money you can keep. Now here's one person's response. But it's much easier to save with a big salary, right? If I get a raise and don't let the lifestyle creep up to catch it, that's more money to save. That's the first comment. Here's the second comment. Your wage matters, man. It's all about how you keep track of it. Spend foolishly and you won't do as well as if you spend/invest wisely. But making minimum wage versus the degree I have, and I believe you have too, isn't comparable. We can save more easily if you play it smart, not if you go blowing it on each and everything. It costs money to make money, and whether or not it applies to a degree, it depends on determination for success. Now, the issue here isn't whether or not their statements are true. The issue here isn't whether or not I feel as though I can't understand what they're saying, nor is it the fact that they're somewhat refuting my statement. But my issue is that both their statements did not disprove the idea that your salary makes no difference. It's all about how much money you can keep. The whole point of my statement was to basically say that it's all about a mindset. It's all about being able to be taught, or I guess like not necessarily be taught, but to know what to do with your money and how to do certain things with your money. So the idea behind it, and I think I may have even explained to the first person, I think in the comment I said, I guess my point is the mindset can be an issue. If your mind is not right, you will blow it stupidly. You can lose money or a job easily. That's just how it goes. That was my comment to one of the persons. So I guess, you know, hoping that second person was going to see that comment, my point is that like it's all a mindset thing. So even in their comments, they even too said in here, and I'll quote the first guy, he said, "Don't let the lifestyle creep up to catch it." That's what he said there. At that point, he too is saying that it's all about the mindset. So it doesn't take away from my statement that it's all about how much you keep. It's all about how much you keep translate to, it's all about knowing how to deal with your money in order to keep money. That's what it is about. That's the statement that I was trying to make. And this guy says, your wage doesn't matter, man. It's all about how you keep track of it. At that point, it doesn't disprove the idea that it's all about knowing what to do with your money. So therefore, it doesn't really matter to the extent that it's all about like knowing what to do. Now, mind you, I do feel as though if you have a bigger salary, you do have a higher potential of being able to save better if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you're going to spend it the same way stupidly. And I'd even argue that you'd even spend it more because of the fact that you know it's there. And you know it's available to you, and you know you can do it, and you're like, oh, I'll just splurge because I got it. A lot of people aren't thinking on that wavelength of how can I save, because they're like, I got so much of it, and they got other people telling them that they have so much of it because they're telling them that they have so much. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make here is that it is true that it will make it much easier to save, but it will make it much easier to save with the knowledge to know how to save and how to keep money. So the idea is of behind the mindset, which neither one of these people, although I agree that it will make it easier to save, disprove the idea that it matters based on your mindset, because it truly just doesn't. You know, it's all down to, like, what you do with your money. And I'd even argue that the second guy, he made a statement and he said something about, like, it costs money to make money. Now that is not always true. It's true in a lot of instances, but it's not always true, because there are a lot of things, and like, I'll kind of go into detail in later videos, of course, about some of the things that I'm talking about when I say this. But there are definitely, like, things that you can do that don't necessarily, like, cost you money in order for you to make money, or if it does cost you, it doesn't, like, really cost you very much. So I don't necessarily agree totally with that particular part. And again, I'll do a video on it to show you what I mean and what I'm talking about. But in a lot of instances, it does take a lot of money to make money to a certain extent. But again, that whole topic has not anything to do with the idea of knowing how to save your money. Regardless, if you have a lot of money or little money, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to blow either one, because you just know it's there. And you think you have it like that, and you think you can afford it, and you can't afford it. You can't afford it yet, and because, like, you're not where you want to be. Your motivation should be, I am not where I want to be. I am working every day. I am tired every day. Every day I'm questioning what I am doing, and if I'm just doing things because I need a check and because I need to pay my bills. Well, start taking control of your future. That's the only message I'm trying to get across here. But anyways, for all of you guys who checked out this video and like what you have seen here, feel free to subscribe to this blog, The Hustler's Perspective. If you guys want to read more crucial and important information in the hustling world, then feel free to follow the blog, thehustlersjackpot.com. If you would like to follow me on social media, feel free to follow me at my Instagram business page at thehustlersjackpot. If you want to follow me on my personal page and know more information on the latest and greatest news in the hustling world, then follow me at Cool Colas. So with that being said, I hope everybody has a great hustling day. I hope everybody enjoyed the video, enjoyed the show, and I hope you all have a good day. See you later.